At the wedding I attended, it was very lively and bubbling. Food came around and people were enjoying their food. This woman on this table brought out her breast to feed a baby, and some felt very offended, while others thought it needed, despite or irrespective of how she did it. Today on Living Healthy, we'll be talking about infant nutrition and weaning. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I am Adeyemi Niko, and today we have a special guest with us, Dr. Victor Ayodeji Ayemi. He is a senior registrar in pediatrics, currently working at the State Hospital, Abeokuta. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Yes. So we're talking about infant nutrition and weaning. How would you define this term, sir?
Okay. In the infant nutrition and weaning, there are three keywords. Infancy, first of all, is the first 1 year of life. So that means we're talking about nutrition of that category of people and weaning. Infant nutrition means acquisition of nutrients for optimal growth, and that includes development of appropriate eating behavior. So that's part of the goals of the nutrition. But weaning, on the other hand, is a gradual process of introduction of other food apart from breast milk to a growing infant.
Alright, so I've heard people and seen articles talk about how a child should be weaned, and some gave suggestion that a child should receive breast milk feeding a day, and then it should be substituted with fortified cow milk and instant formula. What do you have to say about that, sir?
Okay, first of all, as I said before, weaning is a process. So there's a process of doing it, and typically it should begin after 4 to 6 months of life, but most likely or most preferred at about 6 months. So until that age, the baby will be on only breast milk, or when it is absolutely necessary, when the medical people have been participating in the decision, that the child may be on artificial milk. But after 6 months, other food, solid food, that's not just milk, will now be added. So that is weaning. It's a process starting from 6 months. And so there is a process. So breastfeeding will not be stopped entirely. It will now be given along with this other food after the 6th month of life. So that's weaning in summary.
Okay, so for our audience, would you like to expatiate on what infant nutrition and weaning means?
Okay, thank you. First of all, I should say again that breastfeeding is the optimal kind of food for an infant. Whether the baby is born preterm or term, it is still breast milk that is the best food. And the recommended thing is that the baby should begin the breastfeeding within 1 hour of life, whether the mother had CS or other problems, notwithstanding. Our target and plan is that within 1 hour, the child should be started on breast milk. And breast milk has a lot of advantages both for the mother and the baby. It helps not only provide nutrition for the baby, but it also helps the baby to tolerate feeds faster. It helps the baby to be protected against certain kind of infections, and it also is important for the baby's sight, hearing, and even psychomotor development. So artificial milk cannot do that. That's why we still prefer breast milk. And so there are strict reasons why pediatricians may give a concession that the baby should be on other milk apart from breast milk. So that's the first thing we should note. So that will be continued until the child is about 6 months. Okay, for the mother, when a mother breastfeeds, she's protected against certain kinds of problems, including some cancers, and it also helps to bind the mother and the baby, because oxytocin that is produced during breastfeeding makes the mother feel good and makes the baby feel good. So the mother will be empowered to participate in the care of the baby, and the connection of a baby to another human being helps the baby's development for all the future. So that is essential. So we need to promote it as much as possible. But at 6 months now, the baby will now be started on other food. Usually pureed, it may be solid, but it will be made into a mash form.
Okay.
And the way to do it is that the breastfeeding would have continued.
Okay.
But at that time, at 6 months, maybe suppose the baby is feeding like 8 times in a day, one of those feeds will be the solid food. Some children can start from amala and they will do something as from the 6 month up, and that's what happened with our own children. So it is possible, and it can be pureed cereals. And one of the important things to note is that there should be high quality food. Not only cereals, there should be high quality protein like pureed meat, ground groundnut, crushed or mashed fish, and egg. All those things will be there, and it is a gradual process. So initially maybe one breastfeeding session will be dropped. Gradually we increase the introduction of the family diet. Then after a while we will reduce the volume of the breast milk. Not initially is the feeding time that is skipped. Later on the volume is skipped, and gradually the child will be started on the other food apart from breast milk.
So I've heard advantages of this nutrition for infants concerning the mother, that it helps with diabetes, like type 2 diabetes. Is this true, sir?
Yes, that is correct.
So, sorry to cut you short. So what differentiates a child that is weaned properly and a child that is not weaned properly?
Okay, it is the process. As I said, normally it should be around 6 months, because at that time, breast milk alone will not be enough to meet all the nutritional needs of the baby. But of course, it still having other purposes, like I mentioned before. That's why it should be continued. Okay. And there are some things that will be available in breast milk that is only that it is not enough in breast milk. That's why we need to now complement it with the complementary feeds. That is what happens with weaning. Okay. So, any child that does it in the right way, that is the gradual process, not stopping breast milk sharply, that is improper weaning. Making it gradual and making sure the child gets high quality carbohydrates, proteins, fat and oils will make it properly done.
So there are cases of mothers that don't feel comfortable breastfeeding their kids. How can we find a way around that?
Okay, first of all, we should understand again that there should be a modest way of doing anything. Okay. Any mother who is nursing, there are some kind of dresses that he or she should avoid wearing. It is not going to be, except for maybe some seamstress may make the gown in a good way. Gowns generally are not appropriate for people who are nursing. A skirt and blouse will be better, because exposing the breast from the top is more exposing than from down, so that you can flap up the blouse or the buba, if it's buba nero, so that the baby can breastfeed while your breast is still covered. So that will be modest. That's less offensive. But once we understand that the baby has no better nutrition, like what can come from the mother's breast milk, then what we should rather do is how best can we do it while maintaining modesty and limiting offenses in public. So the dressing is one. And then secondly, I know some people, they are afraid of when they breastfeed, the breast will begin to sag and things like that. And one of the things to do is that there should be a firm bra. Every mother who wants to breastfeed should not think that because I'm breastfeeding, my breast can be anyhow. Because if there is a firm brassiere, then the shape will not be lost just because she has breastfed. So if that's what she's afraid of, that may not be lost once you're doing it the proper way. So if the breast is, if the breastfeeding is done properly, it should have, okay, please let me say this, I forgot to say it before. About breastfeeding, when the mother starts, normally, the breast should be fully empty. That helps the reproduction of new breast milk into the breast. And typically a feeding session should be like 1 hour. That is 30 minutes at each breast. Okay. That's what fully empties the breast and gives the baby the benefit of all the kind of factors and nutrients that can come from not only the water from the breast milk, the protein and carbohydrate and fat. 30 minutes at each breast would afford that on the average. And if a woman does that, the baby will give her some rest time for like 2 hours before making the demands again. So if it's done like that, it's done, the baby will have what it should, and the mother too will be satisfied.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there any other thing you'd like to add?
Okay, the other thing I would like to add is that some people are afraid that if the baby is on only breast milk for 6 months, he will not like food at 6 months. That is false, because when a baby nurses on the breast milk reflects the mother's diet. So the flavors of all the food that the mother has been eating enters the breast milk. So what happens is that the baby is now exposed to different flavors. So if a baby is on only artificial milk, there's only one kind of flavor that baby is exposed to. But someone who is on breast milk is taking all the flavors of the mother's eating amala, eating ewedu, eating beans, eating rice, eating egg, eating meat. All those flavors have entered. So when the baby wants to begin to take complementary feeds at 6 months, all those flavors are not entirely odd to the baby, him or her. And in addition, one thing we should note is that it is going to be done in a gradual way. That gradual way is essential in this. A morsel of amala contains a higher quantity of calories compared with an equal volume of breast milk. So the fact that baby has taken only one morsel as a start is a good step, and we should be encouraged to now build on that rather than assume that baby is taking only one morsel. It's not eating. It's not like that. It's a process.
Thank you very much, Sam. So I hope we've heard it all. It is very advisable to feed your child or your baby with breast milk for at least 6 months before gradually weaning. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really delighted to have you here. To see more episodes as this, please visit our social media handles: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube at Official Remo TV. You can also visit us on our website at www.remotv.com.ng. Stay healthy.